All right, so here's a question. I don't know if we want to consider it, but Drew put out a new CFP for a well played issue on playing games during a pandemic.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, that's right.
Would this be better for that?
I mean, arguably yes.
Oh, so we started playing season two. Sorry, I'm gonna close my door. We started playing season two of the Pandemic Legacy shortly before all this started.
Oh god.
And then we stopped when the pandemic started. And a lot of the reason we stopped was because it was a very specific reason that my wife gave, and I couldn't agree more. So much of this game is about deciding where your trade-offs are, deciding who you're going to leave behind, right?
Yeah.
And there's a social justice aspect of this if you if you take it as a system and identify kind of what decisions you're making, especially in the season two legacy game, you have a lot of freedom for making how you make connections to different things. So it's not just you're not just living with the already existing communication lines like in this game. In the original game, you're making those connections, which means you're making the hard to get to places, and you're making the right. But in this, yellow is often left out because it's so hard to get to. And the reason it's hard to get to is because of communication and travel in the real world, right? Limitations, real economic limitations of communication and travel to the Southern Hemisphere in the real world. I think, right? It's trying to represent how hard it is to get aid to South America and aid to Southern Africa. And it does that. But the reasons for that aren't that it's so far away, right? There are other places that are equally far away. It's more that the logistics don't exist to that spot. So there's a certain degree of kind of thinking through the decisions we make on the level of the game, and thinking through the decisions we make on the level of what that would mean. Now that we're actually facing a real, we have yet another logistical dilemma right now in front of us, which is the spread of the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
And that also has a similar kind of prioritization mechanism that happens that requires us to choose winners and losers somehow, and trying to be somehow just and equitable about it. We're in a fortunate place where Africa is almost always the continent that gets hammered by these pandemics, and at least it looks like they're relatively spared. Yeah,
done really well, with the exception of one country who has a authoritarian coronavirus.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's certainly not been spared entirely, but it's at least in this moment, it's not like the usual suspect is just getting hammered as they have been, for so long. So it may be something we could talk about.
Their their experience with epidemics has actually been a huge advantage for them.
Right. This is not exactly entirely new. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something we want to get into. I mean, it's certainly nothing. The well played, the well played experience for me, at least, being a grim role player, involves dealing with, as you know, Moses, and I don't know, you may know also, Mark, deals with dealing with real social issues in the context of games, and giving some safe space to talk about things that are really difficult, but in a way that you can deal with them without going into fits of despair, or at least minimizing your fits of despair. So it may be, I don't know. I think I would have to think about it a little more. I hadn't thought about things in terms of kind of the horizons of play, but there are certain kinds of connections, I think, to certainly. I'm not super up on that literature, but certainly what you see in play becomes how you read the space, and how that becomes a set of a possibility space for you, and how you kind of navigate that possibility space, and what that affords you, but also what it constrains you to, is kind of an interesting space for me, at least. So I don't know what you all feel about I'm pushing that too hard. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's an interesting, an open question to me when you say about up on the literature of how much people have actually investigated. There are a lot of different horizons of play questions, but in terms of the various aspects of where play or investment in a game or engagement in a specific game or gaming as as an activity, where those horizons exist, I feel like there's probably a shortage of exploration of the topic rather than a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, not to, I think the people that are writing this mean well, but we have a tendency sometimes to fall into the it's a game. It's here to play. It's a kind of an escape.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alternate space. The Magic Circle gives us protection protection from the realities of pandemic while we're playing this game. But I guess given what I tend to focus on in games, I also think it gives us the Magic Circle, to the extent it exists, or to the extent we create it, gives us a space to deal with really tough things in a way that doesn't overwhelm us, and where we can actually make some kind of headway in understanding it, rather than just getting mired in the complexity of it. Sorry, that's kind of restating what I said before, but if that's an under theorized space, then that's something that certainly in the large sense we should think about more, but that may or may not be the thing to do here. Other than to just acknowledge that we're playing pandemic in the midst of a pandemic, right? And that's ironic, but it's also serious, right? It's also the irony is we're all Gen Xers, right? The irony is built into our nature.
Right.
Yeah. But that irony does not actually discount the reality of it. It incorporates it, right? Yeah. It's a way of looking at it, even if through a lens of kind of play, right?
So in terms
of and I was thinking, so I don't know if this will be true, but I was thinking playing pandemic, if we win, during a pandemic could be, a form of trying to gain some sort of agency in the world right now.
Sure.
And have a cathartic moment.
Right. I mean, even if we lose, we get to at least try and do something, right? Which is so much more than we get to do. We get to stay in our house, and we get to wear a mask or not wear a mask, right? I mean, our agency is pretty constrained right now.
Stay in your house or go out, or how much you go out, wear a mask, or choose to deny reality.
Right. I mean, of course, if any of us were healthcare workers or delivery people, we'd have a much bigger role in this. But
yeah, to be sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I would say actually, as educators, we've had a significant role in it as well.
Sure. No, you're right.
Being able to, the phrase was, of course, continuity of instruction at the start of things, and that's been non-trivial. I've taken it very seriously for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, Mark, our first question is to answer your question. Do we want this as part of this short series that we're doing for the retro, the 10-year retrospective, right? Or do we? Because I'm sure Drew would be happy either way, right? Like, I don't think it would be a problem either way if we said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we spun off this other video episode for the well played in the COVID edition."
Why don't we just play and see what happens? I guess. That actually, like, our whole discussion just now, I think should be in the video somewhere.
Yeah, we just recorded it all, so
we did. We're now done with the part. Let's just play the game.
One thing that Mark and I did in the last take was we talked about some of the themes, and then we wound up going a little bit deeper on them once we were kind of properly rolling. So we can either cut some stuff in, or if we go back and go, like, that was just really well articulated. Let's just start with that. And the fact that we're talking out like this is definitely very podcast style anyway.
Right.
The last time, and I think it's a good. I mean, I like it. I actually think it's a really good way to go.
Right.
In general. So.
Well, here's another question then. That this is for future. If we do a third video, maybe we should do it like live Twitch.
Oh, huh. I like that.
That goes back into the authenticity thing I was talking about before.
Yeah.
So suspicious of. I mean, there's a reason for it, right? I mean, there's, if nothing else, just the live interaction and the honesty of it. I don't know. Maybe I just. I think they're great live, but like, I don't know. Even just going through all of us talking about all of this, I don't have the patience for it that a lot of other people do, and maybe it's because I actually want to pay attention. So there's huge series of, even in our conversations, there are going to be huge sections of it that I just think aren't worth aren't worth paying as much attention to. There are periods of this video where I might just like skip through. I mean, not like literally skip, but speed the camera up and go through 5 or 6 turns where things are happening, but they're not actually all that interesting. Right. But on the other hand, there's the whole live interactive element of Twitch is real, and it's it's very popular, and I may not get it because I still am of an age where I think games are not a spectator sport, as I've preached for 20 years, and I'm being proven wrong, definitely. But I'm old school, so I'm trying to get caught up in the new world. So I'm open to that. Okay. See, academics, long screes, not worth keeping in the video. I just proved my point. Didn't intend to, but I just proved my point.
Yes and no. In comparison to the thing about podcasts that frustrates me, it's like a long screed that is topical. It's not like, oh yeah, and then here's what I went out and did for lunch today, which is this is why I have trouble with most podcasts, and not all of them, but for them is that it's the casual conversational is taken to an extent that just radically loses my ability. I'm like, no, whether it be like cold cases or game analysis or whatever it happens to be, I'm like, I'm subscribed for this because somebody told me it's good about this topic, right?
Right.
Like,
right.
So I don't want to hear about your lunch today.
Right. So I love my cats. Let's keep a conversation about our cats to a minimum and actually talk about games. So unless we're talking about our cats and playing, then it's fair game.
And I did once have a education grad student ask me, with the work that I was doing, if I could make a game that would allow us to understand what cats are saying. And I was like, I don't think you understand how games work, but that's a really imaginative idea. So yeah.
If you understand what cats are saying, then you might be able to do that. But
precisely. Yeah. I mean, if I understand what cats are saying, then I might be able to design a better game for people and cats. But
right.
Right. We have some pretty good.
My wife is pretty good at it.
Yeah.
She's but even she would say she's only understands a fraction.
There you go. So.
All right. So play a game. I hear we're going to play a game.
Speaking of cats, do you remember? So I don't know if anyone noticed this except me, but my GLS entries over the years became more and more informal. And one of my last ones was about board gaming, and every single slide had a cat in it.
I think that was in some ways true for many, and while it was nice from a social standpoint, it became a problem in the conference. I think that we were, not the informality, but because that's funny, right?
So apparently
we were talking to each other rather than talking out or something. I don't know.
There was more of that. I would agree. There was more of that going on. Ryan Martinez mentioned to me recently that somebody did a dissertation that actually did analysis of GLS as an event. And described it as cult-like. And he and I were both like, yep, first of all, I really want to read this. And second of all, can see it.
Yeah.
There were folks who were engaged in that wholeheartedly. And then many of us who kind of were, okay, we're playing along, essentially. But that's why I'm very curious to read this dissertation.
Yeah.
That's bound to be a fascinating analysis, even if it's a little bit meta.
I agree. And now we're really off topic. I love it. But we have the power of editing, so we can get off topic. That's great.
No, and someplace that Mark and I started foundationally last time was the how did we come into contact with Well Played in the first place?
That's fair. Okay.
For us was GLS 3.0.
Right.
Which is, when Drew did Sands of Time, and it was, I don't think the first time he'd done it, but that being kind of a relevant point of engagement. This is how we know each other in the community of practice and play that we know each other from. So,
Moses, were you at GLS 1?
No, I was not. GLS 3 was my first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark, what was your first GLS?
I think it was also 3.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark and I met because he came and stayed on my floor, probably. I don't think I had a couch proper. Yeah.
So your first one was the one that I think the first one, I think that was one of the ones that I was co-chair for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were definitely co-chair for that.
I don't know that means anything, but it meant we didn't know what we were doing, and we were making it up as we go along, and it went all right, I guess.
I was introduced to what an old fashioned is that year.
That's the place to get introduced to that, because I mean, no matter if you do it, properly with brandy or improperly with whiskey, according to Wisconsinites, right?
Which everyone else in the world completely disagrees with, but
right, yes, yeah, you can get just amazing old fashions at several places, including the old fashioned, but they're not the best there.
I'm a fan of the brandy old fashioned. Now that's very off topic.
Yeah, well, we were talking about drinking. We're going full circle here.
It's not a cure for a pandemic, but it certainly is a cure for the stress.
Going to a bar where you get it an old fashioned is definitely not a cure for a pandemic.
No, but making one at home might be.
Might be. Yeah, that's right. Has yet to be determined. We should certainly try it out.
Okay.
There are no blues except for St. Petersburg. There's no black. This is a very strange board. Mm-hmm. And Asia is a mess.
Asia's a mess. Yeah.
South America's a mess.
Biggest problem I'm seeing here with a reflection of our current pandemic is that for Asia being a mess, that somehow it hasn't hit the U.S. as much yet. Actually, Europe should also.
Maybe it's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out that it was here 2 months earlier than we thought.
Right. We've got all three of these cities that are connected to the Americas.
Yep, just waiting.
It is waiting to blow up. And I mean, and bearing in mind that we're talking about 4 separate diseases, unlike.
You're right.
Yeah. It would kind of be like if, say, there had been a huge Ebola blow up at the same time, and maybe bubonic plague had also not just been these random spots in 2020, but made a real run for it.
Yeah. Also, I think we're on now, but one of the things that's really interesting about this is that it's all like so much of our current pandemic was spread by flying, right? Yeah. So much of it was spread by air travel, and this is completely not reflecting air travel as a major vector of pandemic of disease spread. There's a sense in which these color segregations work very well for the game, and maybe even very well for historical ways of thinking about pandemics. For the modern era, there's no such thing as a red space and a black space and a yellow space, except for the climate kind of oriented stuff that might have some sense of connection. But then those are really horizontal bands rather than these kind of segments, geographic segments, right. Horizontal bands of climate. Everything spreads everywhere.
Well, in our pre-roll, David, you were discussing the geopolitics of yellow and how it tends to get left behind in this game. But obviously, that is very much kind of historically artifacted in comparison to, as we were saying, the air travel component of things, right? Yep. So it's other factors that lead to people getting left behind than the routing as kind of defined on this board.
Mm-hmm. One thing this board does do well, though, I've just noticed, there's no New Zealand, so they're protected just like in real life.
Wasn't there a hot minute where New Zealand had an outbreak of COVID-19, but it got under control really fast?
Really, really fast.
Yeah. Good for them.
It must be because they have such a fascist government.
We'll have to tell her that when we call her next time. I think she's pretty open to be. Okay, not quite that open, but it's pretty amazing how cool and laid back they seem to be in the government there in New Zealand, fascist though they are.
Yeah.
Some of the locals might actually agree with you there.
Well, yeah, some of the locals everywhere are going to have their own authoritarian bent. There are measures of this, as we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we need to pick roles. Yeah. Which one are you? Are you right or left, Moses? It's going to be. Oh, you can actually see them correctly, Mark, because you're on 2 different cameras. So the generalist is on your right, Mark. Is that correct?
Well, I'm looking at the board upside down, actually.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Of course.
Right.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
But I get it. So this is one tableau, and this is
the other tableau. Yeah, totally seeing it.
Randomize it. So
here, I'll flip a thing.
Yeah, flip a thing. Tell us who we are, Mark.
That works.
Okay. So
and we get a choice. Mark's set it up so we get a choice of 2.
This is vaccinated and eradicated.
Excellent,
so
excellent.
David will be vaccinated.
Excellent.
Okay.
And the right is what you're flipping for. So from my right, the generalist.
Okay.
So which is it? I didn't see a result, so
you came up. Yeah. So the
okay. The journalist and archivist are mine, and the troubleshooter and scientist are yours.
Correct.
And I'm going to the archivist.
And remind me, the troubleshooter has a logistical thing that it does. Is that right?
You want me to read these?
Yeah, and the scientist, I think, requires fuel for vaccine production. If I recall correctly.
Troubleshooter. Well, I'll just read it because I don't remember. At your turn start, peek at the number of cards on top of the infection draw pile, equal to the current infection rate, which is 2 right now. When performing a direct flight, you reveal but do not discard the card. Normally, you would have to discard the card to directly fly to one of the cities.
Right.
A scientist, you only need 4 cards instead of 5 cards to find the cure for a disease.
Yeah, I feel like the scientist. I was leaning that direction because I remember the scientist was the like lower requirement for finding a cure. So I'll go with that.
Okay, who is player 1?
Oh, and I have to choose.
You're player 1. Mark is player 1. It's your board. Oh wait, who was sick last?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Did any of you actually get COVID-19?
No.
Good.
I was sick. I mean, unless what I had in January was COVID.
Right. I had something in February that might have been COVID, but probably wasn't. But we actually did a test and it didn't come back as anything we know about. So
okay.
How about you? Did you get tested for everything you do know?
Researcher. Okay, Mark. Excellent. And remind us what the researcher does.
I can give cards to another player if we're in the same city.
That's right. Excellent. So I did get a COVID antibody test, but it wasn't until like late April or May, at which point the probability of it picking it up if I'd had it in January is like something non-existent for the effectiveness of that test and, you know, what we've seen about COVID antibodies. So as far as I know, I just had a nasty flu that had some slightly unusual, conditions, but symptoms, but I did not lose my sense of, smell or taste. and I recovered relatively quickly. It just dragged a little bit. But Mark, when was the last time you had something?
I don't remember.
David, I think that means it's you.
All right. I've had like nonstop allergies since.
Well, you said you were sick in February.
Throughout 2020. No, right. February is what I'll count. But I've had so many allergies that we're doing daily COVID updates for work for teaching. Yeah. And fortunately they're worded pretty well because all of them say all these symptoms. Have you had any of these symptoms that can't be explained by allergies?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so it's me. I'm first, and then who's clockwise on your board, Mark, from me?
You are so you first would be here. Clockwise would be Moses.
Right.
Me.
Okay. And Moses is the scientist. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So my hand limit is 8 cards, and once per turn, I can spend an action to draw the current city's card from the discard pile.
Nice. Okay.
So we have the scientist crew here. Okay. Blue and brownish and white. White? Huh. Right. Because the medic is orange, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And actually, I guess this should be a lighter brown. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to do a little housekeeping to make sure I have everything set up on the spreadsheet. So it's me, then Moses, then Mark, and archivist, scientist, researcher.
Mm-hmm.
Turn 1, we've got all the cubes down. We've got the initial black cards. We've got the initial blue cards. Okay, great. I think we're set. I think I'm set.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and read off of my cards on yours.
Yeah. I mean, so my immediate thought is that we should get Moses a 4th black card.
4th black card.
Right.
Stop black before it starts, basically, right?
Right.
But that requires moving around.
Oh, Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a black.
I don't know.
So I could fly to Ho Chi Minh City. I could start heading that direction without getting there, but I could fly to Ho Chi Minh City, go up to Bangkok and get rid of that. Get rid of one of those cubes there. Gets me toward Mumbai. The whole board may change before that, but still it starts to clear out some of this, some of these potential outbreak spots.
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah, one of the things about reading the space of this board, and we don't have the dispatcher. The dispatcher is always interesting because it adds a whole different level of logistics to moving around the board in terms of kind of reading the problem space.
Mm-hmm.
So sounds good to you. Let's fly to Ho Chi Minh, get rid of that card. 1. Let's pick up that card.
Okay.
2, 3, and 4. Remove one of the red cubes from Bangkok.
Okay.
And draw two blues for me.
I will try. Unfortunately, first one's red. Second one's yellow. Can you see those?
No, I can't.
Sydney
and
Mexico City.
Okay.
I'll just put your roll like over here. You don't need to see it anymore.
Yeah. Okay, Sydney and Mexico City. All right, and fun plagues.
Yep. We have Chicago.
Okay.
And San Francisco.
Okay.
So when I'm updating the spreadsheet, I'm just going to put them in what turn they appeared on. Once we have to reshuffle for the epidemic, of course, we'll have to remark kind of which of those got reshuffled and then start from there.
Okay.
Right. So it may be a little confusing, but we'll figure it out. All right. That's me, Moses.
When you play this game, do you normally play with a spreadsheet?
No. No. No, I'm doing this just so we can track what happened.
Oh yeah, well, that makes sense. So
I never actually have thought of the kind of tracking the history of what happened over the course of a game. It might be interesting for other purposes too, just to kind of, again, looking at the problem space, see how things evolve.
Absolutely. I think especially in the context of this game, having that artifact produced from it is going to be interesting, and it is different. It does tweak. It doesn't tweak our action of play, except for you doing record keeping, which obviously in many other games is an activity that we're all used to doing. So it seems to me that those cubes are on Atlanta, right? We have 2 yellows just already on Atlanta.
No, that's the headquarters.
Oh, that's the headquarters.
This is a building, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, I see it now. It looked like it was 2 yellow cubes. That's far less of a problem. Yeah,
our transport is going to be pretty limited until we can get more headquarters out there. But
yeah, and me flying would be a terrible idea because I should hang on to these black cards.
Right.
Which means I'm not really. I don't think I'm any kind of easy movement to get out to deal with the.
Thanks,
I feel like maybe 1, 2. I mean, it's burning a lot on movement, but heading down to Buenos Aires and taking out one of the yellow where there's the 2 there might be a good idea. Does that sound like a sensible plan?
It'd be a long way from black. I
need to be on a black in order to.
The researcher can give you a card at any time, but for me to give you a card, for me to give you Mumbai, we both have to be on Mumbai.
Yeah, gotcha. So I guess is it that far though from black? Because I'm like, let's see, 1.
I'm really thinking so much is going to change. There's probably not Mumbai we're actually going to give you, right? It's going to be something unpredictable at this point. So
I can wind up drawing a black card at the end of my turn. Anything's possible.
Right. Right. So maybe that's something to focus on. Clearing out Tokyo or clearing out starting to get to work on South America might make sense to me.
Yeah, I think for where I'm at, unless I'm going to try and burn a card to fly. Well, wait a second here. 1, 2. San Francisco goes to Tokyo and Manila. Is that?
Yeah, San Francisco goes to Tokyo.
I could get over to Tokyo in 2, 3, and clear 1 out of Tokyo. That's actually probably the better bet because it's more ready to explode. So let's go with that. Give
us some protection for an outbreak.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't know that Buenos Aires is going to be a problem. We know that Tokyo is. So
right.
All right. So that's my move. And me too.
You get Seoul.
Okay, that could be useful.
And Beijing.
Oh, that's good.
I realized an error here.
What's that?
What are the two that we added? What are the bottom two black cards?
Bottom two black cards?
Yeah, in the discard. In the discard, sorry.
These guys?
Yeah. I didn't put his turn 0 in, so sorry, I'm making this up as I go along, and it's
Chicago and San Francisco were the ones that were added.
Thank you. Okay. And what are the new ones? Oh, we don't know those yet.
I'm about to flip them. Mumbai. And Istanbul.
Okay.
So black is on board now.
Black is on board.
Do you have to be in the city of the card in order to grab it from the discard pile, David?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm a little worried about St. Petersburg because it has 3 right now.
Sure.
I have the St. Petersburg card. I also have these special events, airlift. Like I could, if you get to Mumbai, I could move Moses to you.
Oh. I realized because I can fly somewhere and then pick a card up from the discard, I could be anywhere. I hadn't initially thought of that until I did it.
Right. That's very handy.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be a thought.
Another thought is I have St. Petersburg. I could fly here directly and just start treating the blue.
Yeah.
I'm always really hesitant discarding cards though.
I mean, one of the reasons to get over there is to build headquarters in there, or research station. We need to get some research stations down, or else we're going to get in big trouble in the middle game, I think.
Well, the problem with flying there is that's also what you need to build research. You don't have a second card, do you?
No, I don't. But I could, like, instead of flying Moses to Mumbai, I could fly myself to here and then discard the card to build a station. Or something like that, you know.
Do I have a blue? Why don't I focus on building some research stations? After we get the black card to Moses in Mumbai, why don't I fly around and build some research stations? Because I can do that in just a couple moves.
Okay.
So worry about clearing out that outbreak. So go ahead and fly there, I think, with the card.
Yeah, okay. So I'm discarding St. Petersburg.
Yeah. I mean, with the Archivist, at least, it's not gone forever. I can potentially bring it back.
I'm just going to do all 3.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, my 2 cards are Algiers and Baghdad.
Okay.
So I have black cards now. Well, that doesn't matter if we're doing this thing.
Right. Moses, what were your 2 cards?
That I just got was Soul Invasion.
Great.
And the infections are Riyadh and Lagos.
Nothing terrible is happening in round 1.
This is getting pretty thick here.
Well, there's that. That's not good.
No, it's good. We want this as thick as possible, right? Because when we reshuffle and put it on top, then like...
Oh,
except 2 will then be backed up against each other. I mean, there's a plus and minus side.
Right.
Definitely. Right. Okay, so St. Petersburg is totally cleared up. And backing this is not as easy as I thought. This is a really elegant game that uses the board very well.
Right.
But it means that,
There's probably an app out there.
Probably is, but I don't know how many people actually care about the history of the game. Right,
well, there is the actual app. Like we could be playing this on iPads instead or something.
Huh. I forgot they made a version of it. Okay, so I need to be in Mumbai. I want to put a research station down. So why don't I move 2 to I can fly, but it's the same effect. Move 2 to there, build a research station, and then pick up Mumbai again.
Okay. Is this picking up thing? Can you do it only once a turn or?
Once per turn.
Yeah, once per turn.
That makes sense. That's right.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I can't fly there.
Right.
Pick it up. Build a research station. Pick it up. Okay.
That's what keeps it. Yeah, that keeps it from being broken for sure.
Yeah.
It's very. Yeah.
Okay, so that's your turn.
Yep.
You now have Delhi. And we have our first
epidemic. Okay. So Delhi.
Do you still? Okay, so remind me. Do you still get a second player card?
No, that is my second player card.
Okay. The epidemic.
What's the title of the epidemic?
Unacceptable loss. Okay, so first we increase the infection rate, so this goes up. Then we infect the city with 3 cubes. So the bottom card here. It's going to be Tehran.
Okay.
Right here. So the way I use the board to keep track of if a card might be drawn is to stack the 3 cubes, the 3rd cube on top.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
Yeah.
Oh, so you do the 3rd cube on top. We do 3 together, and then if we're going to outbreak, I put the 4th cube on top until I've covered all the rest, and then I take it off. Just interesting how we use the space differently. Tehran's got 3 now, and then we're going to we up the epidemic to still 2, right?
Still 2.
Okay.
Okay, and then unacceptable loss is after performing the intensity step.
Is that what we just did?
Which is what I'm doing right now, which is shuffling this and putting it on top. Remove 4 unused cubes of the virulent strain in the supply from the game. So we have to determine the virulent strain, which I think is red. It's the one with the most cubes on.
Yeah, it's got to be red. 2, 4,
9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to remove 4 red cubes from the lower.
Does that remain the virulent strain for now on?
Yeah.
Okay.
So red now is more dangerous because there are fewer cubes.
We remove them from the supply, right? Yep. Is that what you said?
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to infect Mumbai and Buenos Aires.
Great.
Okay. You're not there anymore. Or you weren't there. That's right. You went the other way.
I never go there in the first place.
Right.
We don't care about South America. We decided, right?
Yeah.
That's what we talked about at the beginning.
That's right. How you choose your winners and losers. Ouch. Ouch.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, using the marking the board and everything in different ways is potentially a marker of expertise.
Yeah, I mean
typically coming up with shorthands, right, is a marker of expertise in games.
Right.
Yeah, and then also using the material resources that are available in certain ways, I guess.
Right. I mean, reading, one of the things we've been implicitly doing is figuring out how to use our different special abilities in coordination. For example, it may be a good time to airlift Moses to me, unless he's got some business in Tokyo still, so that we can hand off that. So we can take, I think you can take Mumbai. I don't have to give it. Is that right?
I think that's correct. Yeah, isn't it?
I think you may be able to take or give if it's not a part of special ability, but we should check that. Because if you can cure black now, we might.
Transfer a card of the city you are in from one player to another if their pawn is with you in the city.
Okay.
It's funny. The rules are written with male gender, and I just transformed his into there.
Nice work.
Automatically. I wasn't even thinking about it. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Airlift Moses over.
Does that sound good to you, Moses?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Because one of the things I was noticing actually about the map is that from arriving in Tokyo, there's kind of this density of travel paths that makes it actually fairly difficult to get west.
Yeah.
I can use up a lot of turns moving. So
I think the purpose of going to Tokyo was more getting rid of that outbreak potential than anything.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually
great. It is interesting. It is an interesting aspect that, in some ways, the kind of long-term planning is so fragile.
Yeah.
In comparison with some of the short-term, and yet it's crucial, right? If we don't do long-term planning, we're gonna get hosed.
Yeah.
Right. So wait a second here. So that's a special action card that can be
right. Take zero actions.
But the only problem I'm seeing here now, though, is that if I'm reading the rule correctly here, it does say pass as that's the player action. Pass a card matching your current city to another player in the same city.
So it takes one action for you to take it, I think.
Well, but do you have to pass it? Do you have to be the one doing the action to pass it? Is what I'm.
I don't think so. In the rules, I mean, I'm using a cheat sheet, but the rules I have say it's called share knowledge.
Okay.
And it's transfer card of the city you're in from one player to another.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. Roll, treat, discover. Where the heck is transfer?
Share knowledge.
Oh, share knowledge. That's right. Give the city or take the city card. Yeah, actually, in the full, it actually specifically spells it out in the rules that I downloaded this PDF. Great.
As we probably all know, rules are not equally good.
Right.
But these rules are not bad in terms of at least having the explanation in wording that leaves a minimal number of ambiguity. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the first action.
Yes.
So that's the first action, and then I will cure the black disease.
Yay!
Action, which is great. It also frees up a whole bunch of hand space for me.
Right.
Without having to do any discards. From an economy of movement at this point, we still do have to clear out the disease, right?
We don't. We only have to cure it. We don't have to eradicate. If we eradicate, there's some advantages, but I don't find eradicating to be particularly useful most of the time.
We have to find a cure for the game to be over.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to eradicate, but Tyrann is still an issue. When you treat the disease from now on, all the cubes go away, so there's just one.
Oh, that's right. Oh, right. Except that I cannot get there and take another action.
Right.
That's right.
I have 2 actions left.
But I'm only 2 away from Tyrann also.
Yeah, I can see an argument for that. I can actually see an argument for me just using my 2 moves to move back into East Asia.
Yeah.
To move to Bangkok, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's go with that. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love these abilities. I'm really missing the dispatcher.
Yeah.
We got Johannesburg.
Yep.
And Kinshasa.
Okay.
We're in 5.
And then the infector Bangkok. And mutation. So the mutation is the purple. There's going to be now a purple disease that we have to also find a cure for to win the game.
Oh, delightful.
We draw a card from the bottom of the infection draw pile. Add a purple cube to Moscow. Discard that card in there, and I don't remember if this card goes into the. I think it does. It goes in here also. Let me double check that.
So how does the purple disease spread? Are there purple cards? deeper in the deck, or
No, when we draw the city, it's still it gives
Yeah.
both in Moscow would give both a black one and a purple one.
Okay, I see.
And then in the player draw deck, there are 3 mutation specific cards
Gotcha.
that do various things.
Okay.
So actually, our time limit is up by 1, or by 1 turn-ish.
Yeah.
I end up losing by time limit as often as I lose by anything, I think, except for the like first turn rampant set of outbreaks.
Well, I mean, it is mitigated by your role because you can start drawing cards from that. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't play with the researcher very often, or the archivist rather, very often.
Wait, no, it's not mitigated. Because the rate of depletion is going to be the same.
It's mitigated because your access to colors is greater, not because you have more turns. Yeah. So it's not mitigated by turns. It's still on the same timer. But often you're like waiting for a certain color to come up, and you don't have to wait as long. Hopefully, at least.
Right. So I'm going to go to Tehran and just get rid of like 2 cubes, I guess.
No, all of them, right? Because it's secured.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, so why don't I get rid of the one on the way?
Awesome.
Excellent.
That's great.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Great. Very good.
Okay. I drew Taipei.
Okay.
So my purple's gone, and sorry, we're down to 2 in Tehran.
No, none.
Oh, none. Right. Nice. Okay, you drew Taipei.
Taipei and Sao Paulo.
Okay.
And then we have another mutation. I guess it's shuffle enough. We have a purple guy in Chennai.
Sorry, did you Taipei and Sao Paulo were the black cards? Did you draw blue black cards?
They're cards that I just drew.
Oh, we already had Taipei. We don't have Taipei. Yeah, don't we have Taipei? Oh no, we don't. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I'm so confused. All right.
The black cards, the infection cards, I drew Chennai with a purple cube, and Lima with a yellow. Where's it? There we go.
Yep.
Okay. Moses, do you want to start working on red or yellow first?
That's a good question, because I mean, it could go either way. David has 2 reds. You have a red and a yellow. I'm in red, but that's not really as relevant.
I guess maybe red, because you're both right there already.
That probably makes the most sense.
No.
Red and yellow are both presenting pretty big threats, but red is definitely at a more escalated level at the moment.
If you grab one from Bangkok and like treat one from Bangkok and end up in Ho Chi Minh City, I can go.
Well, it's your turn, Dave.
Oh, it's my turn. Right, it's my turn. Okay, so I can end up in Ho Chi Minh City with the Ho Chi Minh City card and build a research station there.
Yep, you could.
So that you could get there quick, but that would only still give you 3.
Oh, right. Because you need to be. Wait, you need to be in the city to pass a card? No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you do.
But we might get lucky.
Yeah, you might get lucky.
And we need more. I mean, those research stations are kind of close together, but still having one in the center of red probably is a good idea. Yeah.
I think it's fine. I mean, we do have a limit to how many research stations we can build.
But if we build an extra one, we can just take away one that we have on the board.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So let's take off 1 cube from Bangkok, move to Ho Chi Minh. That's 1, 2. Build a research station with the Ho Chi Minh card, and then pick up the Ho Chi Minh card again.
Those are both cubes.
Wait. How are you moving to Ho Chi Minh?
I'm not white. All right. Right. I'm blue. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's try this again.
I thought what you were suggesting is you just.
I guess I have to just walk there, but that's kind of ugly.
Well, you could. Let's see here. No, I mean, you could fly there and then retrieve it, but that's you can't then build a research station this turn.
Well, okay, so it's not great, but I could get rid of the 2 cubes on Mumbai, and then walk over to Ho Chi Minh, and you could pick up Ho Chi Minh from me.
Yes.
It's not great, but it's not terrible, right?
Yeah.
Would it be better to pick up the purple cube instead of the 2 on Mumbai?
I don't know.
I definitely don't know.
Yeah, let's do it this way. We might actually accidentally eradicate black. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
What's the benefit of eradicating?
Whenever we draw black on the plague, the disease cards, we ignore it.
Oh yeah. So. Right. So it's not worth putting a lot of effort into, but nice if it happens.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean so you can pick up the card next time.
Yep.
You're doing a ton of I'm handing a bunch of cards to you, and Mark, you're the one that's actually good at that. We need to figure out. We will make use of it. I'm not worried about it, but we need to figure out how to tap into that capability.
We're just using what's available.
That's right.
You have a special event now.
Which was it? New assignment.
Which is what you can draw another roll card.
Yeah, I think you can choose it, but still.
Yeah. I actually hate this card because you have to read all the rolls.
I like it if I'm playing the operations specialist.
Okay, I'll the card.
Okay.
That might actually work out kind of okay. So what happens on our infection?
Yeah. You got Lagos and San Francisco.
Okay.
Am I right that they both have 2 now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
South America is looking kind of ugly.
little rough up there.
Red is still, I mean, these stages still looking pretty ugly too.
So let's see here. I'm in Bangkok, right?
Uh-huh.
I think the clear move is to clear 2 and then, move over to Ho Chi Minh City to meet up with David and pick up that card.
Yeah.
The most efficiency I'm going to get out of.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go with that. Clear 2 red. And let's see what I draw. You run down the clock.
Toronto.
Okay, blue.
And Lagos.
Okay.
You're at the hand limit now too.
I am at the hand limit, but I don't have to discard this round.
Okay, and then
Toronto and, I'm sorry, what's that? Toronto,
Lagos.
Lagos.
And we are infecting Chicago. And Riyadh.
The way of reshuffling and putting the cards back on top of the infection deck so that you end up reinfecting the same places over and over again is a really brilliant piece of design in this game.
Yeah.
Are you thinking in terms of the mechanically or simulation-y or both?
So that you get a series of hotspots that keep coming back, right? So it's an easy way to keep track of, right? It's designed in such a way that it's easy to keep track of, but also it simulates the hotspots continuing to be hotspots for a while,
right.
With some variation, right? So I just like it all around as a kind of simulative thing, but also it's such an elegant. I mean, drawing from the bottom, reshuffling. There's a little bit of fiddliness to it, but it never felt impossible once you figure out kind of the flow of it. It didn't feel really hard to manage at any point.
I think the hotspots is pretty nice because it gives players a form of, I guess, pretending that they're strategizing,
right?
Instead of just having completely random all the time, you can't actually plan for that.
Right.
But this way we can plan. We can make plans at least. No matter how much they get dashed all the time. But
yeah. I mean, I really do think that if you don't plan, you're sunk.
Yeah.
So the planning is effective. It's just always contingent. Your plans get spoiled all the time. But if you don't have any, then you're really messed up, right? You fall fast.
Do you know any other game that uses the same sort of?
I mean, there's some games based on this, like the
Forbidden Island and so on.
Yeah, the Forbidden series, that use a very similar mechanic. Prior to this, I don't know of any games that there were games that had you reshuffle. There were games that had you reshuffle the whole, like you drew a card and that caused you to reshuffle that whole deck.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I don't remember anything that reshuffles a portion of the deck and places it on top to create kind of repeated hotspots.
Yeah.
And unlike a table there are games with tables that highlight certain areas as more likely to happen than others. This is completely arbitrary game to game, right? So you can't predict it from game to game, but within the game, it begins to become somewhat predictable.
Right. Did one of the, I could be completely misremembering, but did one of the Cthulhu-themed Fantasy Flight games do something similar with a threat deck or whatever they're called? I don't actually remember how any of them work.
I don't even remember which of the Fantasy Flight Cthulhu ones. Arkham Horror is not Fantasy Flight, right?
Yeah, it is. Well,
is it?
The new one is, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I got the old one, like the really old one, which came out from Chaosium, I think. But the new one.
The new one is, the second printing, I think, was Fantasy Flight, and then they produced a new one like 3 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's like Eldritch Horror.
Yeah.
The world spanning one. And then there's like
there's the die rolling game, which is actually kind of fun. But yeah, I can't remember it using that mechanic anywhere. That doesn't mean it didn't.
Yeah.
Eldritch Horror I've never played. The world spanning one.
It's good. I like it. It didn't. It's paradoxical. I felt like the game was more streamlined than Arkham, but ended up taking the same amount of time. So I don't know what happened.
Huh.
But it feels
too long
for me.
Right. My feeling of Arkham was that it was fun, but it took too long.
Yeah. Oh, I have a great memory of Arkham. one time when I played it, this is like maybe only the third time I played it or something. A friend of mine from the Bay Area drove up here for Halloween, and he brought his game with him, and so we played Arkham, and then we had a power outage. So we played Arkham Horror by candlelight. That was totally awesome.
That sounds pretty cool.
On Halloween.
Yeah, right. All right, Mark, I think it's your turn. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. Do we want to eradicate black? Or do we want me to get Moses cards? That's what we want.
Yeah.
Do you have red?
I can give you any of my cards if I'm on the same space.
Oh yeah. So
2, 3, 4. I can't actually give you any cards this turn.
What are your black cards?
I could fly. Yeah, I could fly to.
They're Riyadh and
they're Algiers and Baghdad, which are right here.
Oh, that's not helpful. Oh, yeah, it is helpful. You can step to Baghdad and then fly from Baghdad to anywhere.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah, I'll do that. So I'll go here. Fly from Baghdad over to you guys. Which do you want to do first?
Oh, you're at your card limit, so
I don't have to discard until the end of my turn, though, right?
You have to discard immediately. You get to take it and discard what you want, but
yeah, okay. And so it only makes sense to give me one of the two. I think yellow. And here's my thinking: is that we can potentially do yellow and red in pretty rapid succession.
Yeah.
Because David, you see where I'm going with this, right? Hong Kong's right there. So if you give me your yellow card, and then I discard whichever the blue card is that I have.
Yep, Toronto.
Definitely, blue. North America's not looking great, but it's nowhere near as rough as South America. I say that, and we're totally San Francisco. Hit again. Chicago's going to explode. Suddenly, the East Coast is going to be on fire.
This is the nasty calculus. We're doing pretty well. The one place that might outbreak right now is only going to outbreak to two locations that are both untouched.
Yeah.
So we're famous last words, but we're in a pretty stable position at the moment.
Right. It's not in danger of outbreaking though, unless it's like that, which it isn't. Which means that the card is already in here.
Oh, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. Okay. No, I didn't understand it before. Now I get it.
Oh, that's clever. That's very clever. That's interesting because that is definitely. There has been this progression of board game design to keep information on the board, and Pandemic is, an early step in terms of putting a lot more information on the board, right?
Yeah.
Something like Eclipse is a good example of a more recent game where they put even more information, far more information to track, but far more built into like the player counters and stuff.
Right.
But I like that, Mark, because you've taken something that's not built into the game and added a whole extra level of player knowledge is just enhanced.
Yeah. Shout out to my high school friend Chris Fairjohn for teaching me that.
There you go.
Oh, Chris.
Right. I still have one move. I still have one action.
I would go to Hong Kong because I'm going to build a research station there. So then next time you'll be able to go anywhere.
Okay.
Well, anywhere there's a research station. Any other research station, right? Yeah.
Right. I would build a research station there for Moses. So.
Okay.
That's my plan anyway.
I drew Madrid and Tokyo.
Okay.
Then I'm infecting Tokyo and Taipei.
Ooh.
And now it's your turn, David.
Okay. Did you clear any cubes this turn? You did not, right?
No, I didn't.
So we affected Tokyo and Taipei?
Yes.
Okay, it's not good. How bad could it be, right? Okay. So go up. If I go up one, build a research station, then pick up Hong Kong, I've got one move left. But I have to end there.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's almost no point in doing anything else. I can hand you Hong Kong just in case something terrible happens. Moses can take it from you as easily as he can take it from me, and we're there anyway.
Okay.
It might mean I don't have to discard 3, 4, 5. I'm way under my limit. I got a limit of 8.
Oh, right.
I don't know. I mean, I can take that move. I
would have to discard actually. Well,
then let me keep it.
Well, Moses is just going to take it though.
Yeah.
So, you have to discard on your turn, but Moses is going to take it before then, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And if that doesn't happen, then you can give it to him later on. That's the only reason to hand it to you. And there's literally nothing else I can do. Maybe that's the bigger deal.
Like this level of strategizing and talking about contingencies and everything, I feel like is more than what the U.S. government has done.
Well, it's actually worse than that because CDC did do all the strategizing and then they ignored it.
Right.
So that's my feeling.
Well, Fisher was, put in charge of this whole thing, right? And they had a plan that they tossed out. I seem to remember having read that. To then immediately just cause they could profiteer a lot more by not implementing the plan. That was part of it.
Pence didn't get a shot.
That sounds like a cynical and yet probably correct read on it.
I thought it was directly.
Is it really cynical? I don't know. Yeah.
It might have been related to election strategy. I would be surprised.
I'm drawing you 2 cards now.
I'm in pain. All right. Yep.
Buenos Aires and Jakarta.
Okay.
And then I'm infecting 2 cities for you.
We've been pretty lucky. I shouldn't say this because that's also going to bite us, but we've been pretty lucky with our epidemics.
Yeah. St. Petersburg and Istanbul.
Okay.
Which
out at this point.
Okay, now it's Moses.
So I will cure yellow. That's clearly that first action.
You have to go here.
Right.
You cure yellow, so that's 2.
All right, I need to be at a research station, of course. And then I can get Hong Kong from you, right, Mark?
Yes.
And
you can just do red right now.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay.
That's in my hand.
All right, and now we're just blue, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm purple, right?
Yeah, purple.
Oh, right. But that's any 5. That's any 5 cards at all.
Mm-hmm.
So gave
So
us
we have to be in the same city as
one of the cards. Oh, it's a purple.
one of the purple cubes.
Ah.
So we have to have a research station at the city with a purple cube.
And then discard 5 cards. And one of those cards has to be that
Purple
city.
cube city.
But is purple a coronavirus? I'm just struck by its kind of pointy nature.
None of us actually have Chennai, right? Chennai's not out yet.
So actually, we don't want to treat purple because we want to make more cities
Right.
for the potential cure.
That's weird.
That is a
That is
purple.
weird. I agree.
All right, so that's
Can be cured if a player for an action discards 5 city cards at a research station. At least one of these cards must depict the city which currently contains one or more purple cubes. So it doesn't have to be the same city that you're in, but at least one of your cards have purple.
That needs to be infected, yeah. That's not quite as perverse an incentive, although it's still a little bit.
it's almost exactly as perverse an incentive in terms of like wanting it to spread. It's
Right.
weird.
Yeah, so you have more options.
Right.
It's a little bit more limited because it's more along the lines of if you're lucky and you happen to have it, then you're just incented to hang on to that card.
Yeah.
Right?
Mark, can you check for me? I guess I could look.
Sure.
Chennai has not ever come up, right? Yeah, Chennai's not come up yet. All right.
It's only come up insofar as purple has been put down, which means it is in this deck.
Oh, right.
It's in the disease deck, but it's not in the blue deck yet. It's not in the blue discard.
It's in the discard.
But speaking of blue cards, that was my turn, so.
Right.
Okay, so
give me a couple of player hand.
That was a pretty awesome turn.
you get an epidemic.
Yeah, that weird do. I think.
And you get Osaka as well.
Okay.
Okay. Epidemic, we increase the infection rate, so still 2. We add 3 cubes to Beijing.
Okay.
Beijing. Right here.
Okay.
Oh, Beijing actually was clear before, okay.
Yeah.
We reshuffle this. Okay, and this epidemic is uncounted populations. After I shuffle this and put it on top, add 1 cube to each city with exactly 1 cube of the virulent strain. That's only Bangkok.
Okay, that's good. And once again, politics comes out to play.
Yeah. And both counting for COVID and counting for census.
Oh, if we undercount these particular areas where you have populations that have less access to healthcare as well, you kind of deliberately reinforced.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong, all in the interest of trying to continue to secure power for the minority?
Okay. And then I'm drawing 2 cards for you.
Yes, right. That hasn't happened yet.
San Francisco.
Okay.
And Bangkok.
All right.
We're getting, again, last words, but we're getting very lucky.
Yeah, we have been very lucky. I mean, I've had some games where it's just like over within like 5 turns or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually lost a game and like before anybody could really take an action. I heard games like that.
Know that I've played at least one game of this where the first turn was such an absolute train wreck that it was unclear why we played it the end game. Like, well, this is obviously doomed. We really probably could have had a better time by restarting the board. But on some level, I think when you choose to play Pandemic, the play of the randomization has to be an inherent interest for the players if you find this game compelling, right? And so even when you're facing we are obviously clearly doomed, perhaps seeing how it's going to play out or what little headway you might be able to make in the face of certain doom. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Consideration. This is the first game that I experienced where certainly, especially the first times you play it, you kind of go into it with a likelihood of losing, which certainly is a different, well-played game off the, right off the cuff.
Right.
So,
would you consider this game a roguelike?
I think roguelikes build in elements of
increasing ability or something.
Well, no. I think one of the things that's interesting about roguelikes is that it builds into a digital game elements of analog games. So, it's not at all surprising that a role-playing game has permadeath, right? That's pretty normal. At least there are forms of permadeath that can't be resurrected, but that was almost unheard of in digital games. So that's the kind of innovation there. So I think it's almost backwards to say if an analog game is a roguelike, because it may still be a meaningful question because we're in this recursive kind of environment where we're learning from roguelikes how to better do analog games, because roguelikes have had to innovate in some ways, like having multiple playthroughs build on each other. Legacy games are absolutely roguelikes.
Yeah.
Right. Learn from roguelikes.
The legacy variant is more so the roguelike, in that die and repeat.
Right.
Is a little bit more built into it. In a very real way, Rogue was basically saying, okay, strip down to a one-player Dungeons and Dragons dungeon crawl experience with permadeath, which there were far fewer ways in early D&D to recover a dead character. It basically, it didn't happen, right?
Right.
Let's be honest. In AD&D, if your character died, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, having a level 9 character that could raise dead was already a pretty unusual feat.
Unusual circumstance. Your
right.
party wipes were way more common in the earlier system.
Yeah.
I mean, especially AD&D, but even in Second Ed.
Right.
From my perspective, the rules were way less kind. I mean, having the D4 hit die for the wizard, right?
Right. Having 0 is dead.
And 0 is dead.
I mean, we forget 0 is dead, right? It's not, negative constitution. It's not negative 10. It's not
death rolls like we have
right.
in 5th edition, right? It was
right.
a very, very kind mechanic.
Right. Yep. And because it's, it builds a more narrative focus of the game, right? Death is now something special and interesting rather than being a board game, a miniature game
right.
that you're playing at. Yeah. So the question of whether there's something kind of hardcore or roguelike about Pandemic, I think, to some extent it's hardcore. I mean, some of what people think about in like the connotations of roguelikes are that they are harder, that there's more to figure out, that there's there's a system to work, but it's not like a big sim game. It's more of a like net hack system where you've got to figure out all these intricacies and whatever. But there are elegant roguelikes that are definitely, I think, roguelike like FTL, right? Mm-hmm. Which has these really, really tight, elegant systems that you play out in the game.
So for me, a roguelike, and I guess the reason why I asked the question is a roguelike comes with the expectation that you're going to be playing multiple times.
Right.
And that each time you play, ideally, you're seeing something that may be new to you so that you're learning with a little bit more clarity what the patterns are that exist in the game so that you do better the next time you play. Generally, right. I mean, sometimes you just get totally unlucky and all that stuff, right?
But, sure, right. Which is part of it as well, right? I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, and that's part of the appeal is that it has this sort of lottery kind of feel to it. You don't know what you're going to get next, so you're interested in trying to see what's going to happen next, right?
Right.
But now that I think about it further, I mean, are more games that sort of format than we typically, I guess, allow. Right. Is like Monopoly a roguelike? Is like,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in analog spaces, it's just not special, right? It's almost expected that you're going to have one significant playthrough of that game experience, and then if you want to play it again, you'll have a different significant playthrough of that game experience. But mm-hmm. there's a definite end that has, you're gonna reach an end state for your game that's going to be, you're gonna have one play through the game. You're not going to like roll back turns like you do in digital games so often. You're not going to, like, when you die, you're not going to then start over someplace else. If you get kicked out of Monopoly, you don't start over. It would be terrible. That would be such a brutal experience. But you don't start over with nothing on Park Place or something. On Start, there's a sense in which it's just expected that in a analog game, in most analog games, you're going to have a single experience that is going to have where every decision is going to be unreversible, which is sort of telltale elements of roguelikes, right?
I think the cooperative nature of the game invokes that question a little bit more than in your kind of stereotypical old school board games, especially strictly competitive, right? You wouldn't even really think of it in those terms, but because it's cooperative, and there's a collective win state.
Are there competitive roguelikes out there?
I can't think of one.
So maybe Monopoly isn't a roguelike really, but this definitely is.
Right.
Yeah, for kind of applying the formulative aspect as opposed to genre via historical precedent, right?
Which roguelike is a real, most of the indicators of what is and is not a roguelike started off as historical precedent and then started building an actual genre around it, which is not uncommon, but it means that the definition of roguelike is really very, I mean, we've kind of had to define even in this conversation what it is and is not a roguelike, and or what might be a roguelike, what we mean by a roguelike. And it's really unclear what are the central features of roguelike, although there's a family resemblance, good Wittgensteinian terms, there's a family resemblance that I think most of us could acknowledge, right? It wasn't a silly question. It wasn't a It wasn't a meaningless question whether Patent was a roguelike, because there's a family resemblance here that resonates with what what we talk about with roguelikes. Even though once we start getting into the details, it's hard to, like, it's so different. The experience from this and most rogue-like games are is very different. But then when you start looking at the modern rogue-like games, they're interestingly different from each other too, in these ways that really stretch the genre. Absolutely. As they should, right? Yeah. Oh, fascinating question.
Anyways, it's my turn.
Oh, no, I think it's my turn, actually, isn't it? Is it your turn?
Yeah, I haven't moved yet.
It's your turn. It's totally your turn. Don't let me take your turn away from you.
Yeah, Moses did the 2 cures.
Moses did this amazing turn, right? I can just look at my spreadsheet and know it's your turn.
I'm going to give Moses this blue card.
Okay, good.
Awesome. All right.
And then move over to Beijing and get rid of some reds here.
Oh yeah, you're the one who has the ability to give cards regardless of what city you're on, right?
Right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Red is cured. Take them all.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Excellent.
All right. So Beijing is cleared.
Yep. And I drew Chennai and an epidemic.
Oh god.
Yeah, that was going to happen. The 2 in a row thing can be a real pain.
Yeah. So the epidemic is called Hidden Pocket. Here, let me do this thing there. This thing moves up, so now we're going to draw 3 cards from now on. The city that gets infected is Jakarta, which is right here. This will get shuffled. Shit, there's only 3 cards here.
Yeah.
I'm drawing all 3 of them. I will 3 of them.
So we've got a forecast, don't we?
Yeah.
So we could
examine top 6,
restructure them. We know what the 3 are. What are the 3?
Bangkok, Jakarta, and San Francisco. So San Francisco, and all 3 of them would pop.
Yeah, let's do a forecast and at least try and minimize our popping.
Yeah, let me finish this epidemic thing here.
Right.
If the virulent strain has been eradicated, it has not. And at least 1 city, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it hasn't been eradicated, so I don't think anything happens. Yeah, otherwise ignore the card, or ignore the event, sorry.
Right.
So one thing about Bangkok and Jakarta is they can be quickly cleared out.
Not if they outbreak.
No, not if they outbreak.
I mean, all 3 of these are going to outbreak, right? We don't want that.
So I'm playing forecast.
Okay.
I'm looking at the top 6.
We're still going to have this problem in a turn, but...
Yeah.
Well, this is my thinking is that...
the other ones are Riyadh and Mumbai, and then a mutation.
We want the mutation so that we get purples, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see where I'm going with this, though, with Bangkok and Jakarta.
Right. So on my turn, I can clear up Bangkok and Jakarta.
You can clear both of them on your turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm drawing.
That sounds like a really good idea. Then we get 1 outbreak rather than 3.
Yeah.
The mutation's Toronto.
Wait, is this happening right now?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Mutation card.
So we interrupted the epidemic.
Yeah.
To play an event card to decide which 3 we're going to pull.
Yeah.
So now Toronto's not one of our cards, is it? One of our blue cards, is it? Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Still can't win the game.
That's it. Okay, so I added 1 to Riyadh and 1 to Mumbai and a purple to Toronto. And now it's your turn.
But you drew Chennai, right? You have Chennai now?
I have Chennai now.
Oh, you do? Oh, great.
Yeah, so it is possible for us to win the game.
Riyadh and, I'm sorry, what was the other
one? Mumbai.
Great. And we know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Bangkok and treat, and then I'm going to go down to Jakarta and treat.
Okay.
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's me. So give me some player cards. Am I at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Okay, so I 7.
Yeah.
I can take a new assignment if I want. Or I can discard it.
Karachi. And Lima. So now you have to discard 1 card.
I think the new assignment. I don't think we're really going to need that, are we?
Actually,
we've cleared out yellow. We've cleared yellow. Yeah, get rid of Lima.
Okay.
Just in case I want. So in the last minute, become the operations specialist so I can fly somewhere. I don't know, the dispatcher so I can get space somewhere.
Yeah, you definitely want to keep one of Sari's because travel potential.
Yeah. Okay, so discarded Lima.
Yep. Okay, so then we have Bangkok, Jakarta, San Francisco, close up.
Yeah.
Adding 1 to LA, adding 1 to Chicago.
It's really not so bad because they don't interact negatively. So we get a blue one in Tokyo, but it doesn't. No, not in. Oh yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good that it doesn't make it blow up though.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to interact with each other, exactly.
Okay, and then this goes up by 1. I think that's it.
That could have been far worse.
Definitely.
We need to get you a whole bunch of blue cards though.
We do.
There are only 2 4 cards.
Well, why don't you work on purple first?
Oh, that's interesting.
We just need to get you a whole bunch of cards, period, don't we?
For purple,
yeah. So it's really
you're at the hand limit. You could also.
You're right. I could do it as long as I can get Chennai.
Or I guess on my turn. I mean,
somewhere.
I can do it, right?
Right.
Well, we could go. That makes a certain amount of sense. Is that David? Since you have the cards to burn and Mark get you Chennai, we go with that.
I agree.
Meanwhile, I maybe go back to Atlanta to start trying to clear some stuff out in North America.
Chicago is in a burst.
Like I could go there and I could take 2 off of Chicago.
Yep.
I feel like that's honestly probably the most efficient play.
Okay.
Like, seeing as blue's the only one that's not cured, it's gonna,
All right. So you're flying from research station to research station.
Yep.
1,
2, 3, 4. And I play
you get Istanbul.
Stupid yellow card.
And Shanghai.
Good
No
lord.
yellow card.
Oh, Istanbul's also red?
No, it's black. Sorry.
Oh, Istanbul's black. Okay, right. Okay, so those don't do me too much good in terms of the pursuit of cards. And then what do we have?
Istanbul.
Okay.
Chicago. Ooh, man.
Oh no. Oh, good. Okay, right. Because you said it.
And Chennai. where was Chennai? Right here. Oh, so yeah,
this is a good example of how things can go very bad very quickly if you had not taken care of Chicago.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was really absolutely the right call as it turned out.
Yeah,
a little bit of stroke of luck. So all right.
A little bit luck, but also, I mean, also reading the board, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, don't discount how smart you are.
Right.
I mean, collectively, this was kind of the point. We've all played this game. You guys have, I think, both played it more than I have, but Mark, you also own a Cthulhu version of it, so I think that speaks to having played it at some degree of depth.
I have not played the Cthulhu version yet, though.
Yeah.
I bought it because I was like, oh, that looks nice, and I had money.
Well, as I said when we were playing yesterday, I was like, the tempting thing about that is I just rewatched season 2 of Stranger Things, in which they're very much like, ancient dark evil is behaving like a virus.
Right.
I have played the 2 Legacy, or the first 2 seasons of the Legacy. They're really good.
Can I just take a little bit of a break and go through and make sure that because I'm not right with my count on where the tokens are.
Okay.
I messed it up somewhere, but I think it'll be really quick.
If you don't mind, I'm just directing while you write the count.
Sure. Thank you. I'm going to go through alphabetical order, which is not great, but
okay.
Here's the answer. Go ahead.
Has 0.
Has 1.
Yes.
Beating.
0.
Boga.
I think that's 0.
Okay. Size. 3.
Cairo. 0.
Chennai. 0. Black.
Yes.
Chicago. 2.
Blue.
0.
0.
0.
0.
0.
0.
2. 3. 1. 0. 0. 0.
I think so.
Black.
Okay, 0.
Khartoum.
0.
0. Kolkata.
I think 0. 0.
Lagos.
2. 2. 2.
London. 0. Los Angeles.
1 blue.
Madrid. 0. Milan. 0. Manila.
0. No. I think 0. Where is Manila? Oh, okay, 2 red, 1 blue. Sorry.
Mexico City. 0. Right. Miami. 0. Moscow.
0.
Mumbai.
Where's Mumbai?
Mumbai's one of the
Yeah, there's 1 black.
New York.
0.
Osaka.
Osaka. 0.
Paris.
0.
Riyadh. 3. Right. San Francisco. 3.
3 blue.
Santiago.
Santiago. 1.
Seoul.
0.
Chennai.
Chennai. 0.
Seoul.
Seoul 0.
City 3.
1.
Sydney. 2. Yeah. Taipei. 0. No. 0. 2. 2. Tehran. 0.
It is.
Tokyo. 3 and blue.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And Washington. Right. Okay. Thank you. Right. Okay. Thank you for going through that. All right. It is really hard to keep track of this, too,
So, Mark, are we back at your turn, I think?
I think we are.
Yeah, so I need to get David Chennai so that he can do the purple cure. Right?
Yeah,
right.
That would be great.
And then we need to get Moses a whole bunch of blues. But you don't have blues, so yes. Bring your Chennai.
Not many blues. I mean, the good news is there have to be a bunch of blues that are going to be coming forth from the deck soon.
Right.
But the bad news is it's going to take a few turns.
Do you have the Beijing card?
No, I don't. I have Taipei and Tokyo. I have a crazy kind of idea, though.
Yeah.
What if I went to Tokyo and got rid of the red here?
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3, and then fly to Chennai with Chennai, and on your turn you just draw it. You go to Chennai and just draw it.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great, crazy idea. I like it.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And the cards I'm drawing are Essen.
A blue card, good.
And special event, remote treatment. Remove any 2 cubes from the board. Play at any time during any turn before the infection phase.
Let's get rid of the 2 purples so we can't treat it.
One argument for doing it now is, we've got Buenos Aires that might pop any moment.
Oh, yeah, so I mean, San Francisco just popped, so we shouldn't be immediately. Plus, I'm in North America.
Thick when we shuffle for Buenos Aires, so it might be down there pretty far. I think we should save it until something more dreadful is going to be anticipated.
Yeah, even if Buenos Aires pops, it's only going to, I mean, it's terrible. But in the terrible cost of life.
The loss of life.
That's right. It's only going to be a little loss of life.
We're
only talking about another 100,000. Eek.
It would be too much to take away their individual freedom to try to instigate the policy on them.
Right. The chance of having a really terrible situation down there is pretty low.
Lagos.
Looking higher.
Mutation. So Milan has a purple guy now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Lima.
You said Milan was the mutation?
Yes.
Lagos, Lima.
And now it's your turn.
Both Lagos and Lima are 3, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm going to spend 5 cards, including Chennai. No, I got to take Chennai.
Yeah, you have to get over here and get it.
Right. So go to Chennai, take Chennai. 5, 6, 7.
You have 9 now, so you have to discard something.
Yeah, let's get rid of Sydney.
Okay.
And then
that's 2.
Chennai, Karachi, Delhi.
But you need to be at a research station, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just move over here and do it.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? One to move there, 2 to pick it up, 3 to move to the research station, 4 to okay. So get rid of Chennai, Karachi, Delhi. I guess Jakarta and wait, Jakarta's one away. Keep Jakarta. Mexico City and Buenos Aires. I can fly with Jakarta. I can fly with Paris. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
And you are now getting a mutation event and Los Angeles.
Which is, of course, yellow.
The mutation spreads. If the purple disease is not eradicated, it's not. Draw 3 cards from the bottom of the infection draw pile. Add 1 purple cube to each of the pictured cities. Okay.
So we're adding purple cubes where?
3 cities from the bottom of the card. Deck.
Oh, so we're diversifying our deck.
So Khartoum.
I like that.
Gets a purple. Seoul gets a purple. And then Paris gets a purple.
Okay.
And then I'm drawing 3 of the infection cards for you. Beijing. Buenos Aires. It popped.
Unfortunate.
Wasn't that bad.
That's true. It actually wasn't that bad.
And Taipei. Okay.
So Buenos Aires, Taipei, and what was the middle one?
Beijing.
And Taipei infected Osaka, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Manila.
No, Taipei only had 2, not has 3.
Oh, okay, good.
But Buenos Aires infected Sao Paulo and
right.
Bogota. Oh, and we have a triple organization.
So most of this we need to get you some blues, huh?
We do. And in the meantime, there's a question of what I can do to kind of remediate things over here. And I see kind of 2 options. One is to concentrate on the blue stuff by, say, reducing Chicago and San Francisco. The other is to go down to Lima to prevent that from blowing up further down there.
Alternatively, you could go to Europe somewhere so that you can get handed blue cards.
Oh, that's true. I mean, the other thing, I could go, oh, you know what? Wait a second here. So which of you has blue cards?
Both of us do. So
you don't have a blue card.
If you
so
want,
I could actually go to Atlanta and then pop over to, where do we have that research station?
We don't have one. I mean, we don't have one in Europe.
No, but, oh, right. So, Mark, which color
So Istanbul is pretty close to, like you could fly to Istanbul.
Okay, I could fly to Istanbul. Well, no, here's one thing, because Mark could give me a blue card regardless of what city we're in, right?
Right.
And you're the wood-colored pawn?
Yep.
So I could go to Atlanta and fly to where, David, where you are, which is whichever research station that is.
Yeah, Chennai? Oh, no.
And then go to, yeah, is that Chennai? Mumbai. And then go to Chennai and get a blue card from Mark, right?
Yeah, but it's easy for me to give you cards. Also, it doesn't matter where you are. So instead of you coming to me to get it, I should go to you. And instead, I think you should position yourself so that David can give you cards. Which would be in Paris. Like his blue card is in Paris.
Oh yeah, okay, right. So if I fly to Istanbul, then that'd be 3 moves to get me to Paris, and I could get rid of something along the way.
Yeah, you could get rid of these black cubes from Istanbul.
Oh yeah, Istanbul has 3. That totally makes the most sense. So yeah, I'll bring that Istanbul card and I'll fly there.
Well, so it really only makes sense if David actually can even get to you, which I don't think he can.
I can get it easier. I'll take 1 step to Jakarta, fly to Paris, and from Jakarta using the Jakarta card, and then build a research station in Paris, so you can actually carry it there.
Okay. And also need to get 1 more card, but yeah, okay. But we'll hope that I get that on the deal, so to speak. So yeah, 1, 2,
3, 4.
3, 4, and there's Istanbul. Okay, great.
Okay, and then you get Moscow.
Blue.
And a purple event.
Oh, great.
The mutation intensifies. Add 1 purple cube to each city that contains exactly 2 purple cubes.
We only have 1 of those, don't we?
Yeah. Chennai now has 3 purple cubes. And then your 3 guys here are St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Tokyo. Oh.
Uh-oh.
You can get a blue or not? It's just a red, right?
Yeah, just a red. I don't think. Oh, wait a second. I don't know.
I don't remember.
What were the 3 again?
St. Petersburg, Moscow, and Tokyo. And
yeah, it doesn't get a blue. It just gets red.
Okay.
That's my belief anyway.
All right. So that's my turn.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I should spend a turn and just get rid of these purple cubes. I mean, spend an action to get rid of purple cubes.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good call, David, don't you think?
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable.
Double outbreaking there. There's somewhere you can fly that would make your subsequent 2 actions more effective.
Tokyo, Taipei. I could fly to Taipei and also get rid of these guys. The 3 reds on Taipei.
That would be pretty effective.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you can move back to wherever we have that research station so that you could more easily move the next turn.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to discard type A just so that I can fly over there and then get rid of these 3 red cubes. Okay.
Oh, you have one more turn, right? One more move?
I did. So I treated. I flew. Oh, you're right. I do have another move. So go to Hong Kong.
Go to Hong Kong. Excellent. I will say this whole like the outbreaks happening after we already have the cure is very much the vaccination situation now, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's great they got a vaccine. You still got to get it to people.
I drew Milan and this mutation event. The mutation threatens. If the purple disease is not eradicated, draw 1 card from the bottom and put 3 purples on.
Oh, jeez.
Johannesburg now has 3 purples.
Absolutely, quickly.
Okay, now I need to do you guys. Sydney.
It's not good.
Manila. I lost Manila. There it is.
Yeah, that's also not good.
And Santiago. Okay. This is really
and we're doing epidemic, different epidemic, aren't we?
Yep.
We are due for an epidemic. It's your turn. You get your blue cards quickly. So
yeah, I think even though we got all these things that look really ugly, my job is to get out there and get you Paris. So step down to Jakarta. Oh, I'm 2 away, aren't I? 2, 3. Okay, that works. Step down to Jakarta, fly to Paris, hand Paris to Moses. So use Jakarta and hand Paris off. Yeah, it's a risk, but I think we gotta get you blues, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also need to get a research station there somewhere.
Yeah, the research station doesn't need to be on a blue. It just
yeah, no, I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, you can fly anywhere.
That was less except for logistics, but I can get back over to the red territory very easily.
I can instantly make somebody an operations specialist if we end up needing to be.
But meanwhile,
well, if you do a research station, which you can, then on my turn I can give him 2 blue cards because I can just pop over and then just hand over.
Right.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so what are my 2 player cards?
An epidemic.
Yay.
And a special event, borrowed time.
What is borrowed time?
Additional actions this turn.
Oh.
Okay, so epidemic is chronic effect. Increase this guy, draw 1. Kinshasa. Chronic effect, when infecting a city with the virulent strain, which is red, add 2 cubes to that city if it has no cubes of that color.
Okay, only if it has no cubes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still at 3?
We're still at 3, yeah.
Good. We got a lot of things on the edge.
Do you want me to play this card? Remove 2 cubes.
This might be a good time to do it.
I think dropping one of the ones that has 2 right next to each other would be a really good idea. So like Kinshasa and Lagos, dropping 1 or both of those down to 2.
Well, there's also this.
Yeah.
Right. So dropping 1 of each of those pairs, 1 cube from each of those pairs, so they at least don't double.
I agree.
I mean, we'd have to draw both cards for them to double outbreak. Yeah, definitely use that. We could lose like now if we don't.
Okay, I'm using a special event, getting rid of.
And get rid of the more central of them, whatever that is. Yeah.
Kinshasa. And I guess Manila.
Sure.
Okay. Drawing 3 of these guys. San Francisco.
Which will spread to Chicago and Los Angeles and what? Tokyo
and Manila.
Manila.
Sydney. Shit. That's 2. And Buenos Aires. Shit. Okay.
Right, so we got Buenos Aires, and what else did we get?
San Francisco and Sydney.
Yep.
All three of them popped.
Jeez. Okay.
Yep, which is where it is a good thing actually that you used that special event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would have lost the game, I think, right there.
Because Manila would have popped, and that would have been bad.
Yeah. Anyways, David, your turn.
Oh no, that was my turn.
Yeah.
Moses, your turn.
Oh. Gosh, so what do I?
Right.
Oh, I need to get to.
You need to pick up my Paris. Oh, I handed you the Paris. Right. Good.
So I need to get to Mark, right?
No, you just need, if you got to a research station, I can give you these cards.
I can get the research station.
And if in the meantime you could stop us from losing, that would be lovely.
Yeah, that's definitely the key thing. So I just need to end my turn on a research station. Without using any black cards, without using any blue cards. So I have Osaka and Shanghai. Are either of those useful here?
Moscow.
Not
particularly useful either.
Moscow's definitely not useful. That's why I was looking at the red card, seeing as that's.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because Osaka could be useful. Osaka more useful than Shanghai. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go to Osaka and then I go to wait a second, am I looking at this correctly? No, Osaka is not. Oh yeah, right. That could get me to. Oh no, that's Tokyo up there, isn't it? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, that's not useful. 1, 2, 3.
You could get 2 Mark.
I can get 2 Mark, but can I do anything useful along the way?
Yeah, not really.
I think the answer is no. Is there another research station I could get to while doing something useful along the way? I think the answer might be yes, because there's Riyadh down there. Oh, no, Moscow's not useful at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Osaka and Shanghai are both really. The problem is Osaka is just not connected to anywhere.
Yeah.
But Shanghai gets me.
I see nothing good for you.
Yeah, I know.
Right. No, not a good idea.
I mean, I could. I mean, no, nothing in terms of nothing. There's no way that I can clear any purples, are there? I mean, any 3 stacks because Laos is also super disconnected from everything. What about? I'm in Paris. 1, 2. No, but that doesn't get me to a research station.
You really need to be on a research station at the end, even if it doesn't mean, because I don't know that we're going to get another turn, another round. Right. So Mark's going to get one shot at giving you the 2 cards.
So you don't need to be on a research station in order to receive the cards. You just need to be on a research station on your next turn so that you can do the cure. But you have 4 actions.
That's true.
But that's actually a really good point. And so that's where Osaka could be essential, or Shanghai, right, for getting me more proximate to you. And I do something good along the way. So if I go to.
Right. If you end up like in Osaka, you could end up in Manila and treat red.
And treat red. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's like our best bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is terrible too, but you can't get there.
And the only other question. Wait a second here. The only other question is, you have Los Angeles. So you could. Oh wait, no, David, you have Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Mark, what are your 2 other?
Tokyo, Algiers, and SN and Milan.
So yeah, we don't want SN and Milan. I need those, right?
Tokyo and Algiers are the only.
Algiers is not terribly useful for us. All right, Tokyo could be, but that's not close enough to a research station in terms of my moves, is it? Oh yeah, no, it's only 2 away from a research station, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't change anything particularly. So let's go with that original plan.
So you are discarding Osaka?
Yeah, I'm going to discard Osaka.
To fly there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
4, yeah. All right, let's see what player cards are left in this deck.
Bangkok.
Okay.
Bogota.
All right, and then what are our 3 infection cards?
Lima.
Is that an outbreak?
Yes, it is.
But it's contained. It does not cascade.
That's true.
Assuming nothing else we draw cascades.
Paris. No problem.
Okay.
There's only 3 purple cubes left in the tray, by the way.
Jeez. What was the? So we got Lima, Paris, and what was the other
one? Taipei. Okay, so on my turn.
Give me. I need to step away for a minute. Give me a minute, and I'll be right back with you. Right.
Okay. On my turn, I'm going to need to give Moses Essen and Milan.
Right.
What else should I do?
So that's 2 moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there somewhere that you could fly after that?
It's 3. Each card counts as 1 action.
Oh. Are you the one who has the extra? No, David has the take 2 extra actions, right?
But he can play at any time. Like he can play it on one of our turns to make us go.
Oh yeah, okay. So that might be actually really crucial. But there's no way for you to get over to deal with that yellow situation.
Yeah.
What about the situation in Riyadh? What's your black card?
Algiers doesn't help over here.
Yeah.
I got nothing good either. I think I'm gonna have a wasted action.
Oh, wait a second here. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2.
Oh, so you're gonna go. You're gonna go give 2 cards to Moses, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So move there, give 2 cards to Moses. I'll turn you into the operations specialist, and then you can build a research station there.
Ooh.
Is that necessary? I don't know, but is there something else?
It's not necessary because he has 3 turns to get to someplace with a research station.
Right.
Oh wait a second. What if? Oh yeah, no, you need 5. You need 5. Never mind.
You can give me borrow time, and I can go to Sydney and treat it or something. Or
oh sure.
That's good. See, there has to be a way for you to.
Yeah. Definitely, you should take borrowed time and do whatever you can that's useful with it.
That's 3 so far. 4 with borrowed time. I remove these guys, and I have 1 extra action.
You could have removed the ones in.
One of them.
Yeah, or one of them. Yeah, one of them. Just to not be a waste.
Yeah. I think it's worth doing. Better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, but it wasn't a city that was in danger.
And then I have to discard one.
Yes. Yeah, you do.
Are you at 7 or 8?
Oh, no, I'm 7, right? Oh, no, I'm at 8. I'm at 8. I guess go ahead and.
I mean, almost nothing matters for you except
it doesn't.
The blues and the reds, right? Maybe the reds to fly. But you're one step away from a research station, so.
Let's just discard Bogota. Yeah.
Your turn is pretty much fixed at this point.
It is 100% fixed.
Yeah. So hoping to survive Mark's draw here and my turn.
Yeah. I got New York and Chicago, and then these 3 guys: St. Petersburg, Tokyo. So far, so good. Mumbai.
Okay.
Now we just need to survive David's turn.
Right.
Exactly.
St. Petersburg was safe?
Yep.
Is it at 3 now?
It is a 3 now, yeah.
David, this is really a question of where you can go to minimize the chances of terrible things happening.
Right. If we get an epidemic, which is not horribly likely, but if we get an epidemic, all bets are off.
Absolutely.
But otherwise,
this is the hot area right here.
What's the card off to the far right of mine? Los Angeles and what?
Your activist role.
Oh, right. Okay, so nobody's over in Yellow Land.
Yeah.
Los Angeles is not particularly useful. Oh, but I'm 1 step away from Los Angeles, aren't I?
You're in Paris.
I'm in Paris. I'm not where I think I am. Okay.
No, I mean, the angle I think would be by flying to LA that you could at least.
Well, I can fly to LA, ma'am. 1, 2, 3. I can clear up one thing. Fly to LA, pick up LA, fly from LA, and clear one area. Bogota is still hot. If Bogota blows, everything blows.
If Lima blows,
then almost everything blows. But if Bogota blows, everything blows.
Well, Lima hits Santiago and Bogota. Oh, no.
But Lima's not in the cards yet.
Right.
Just this one. I mean, either Santiago or Bogota.
I think Bogota because it'll blow up the 2 things next to it as well.
Yeah,
you can't handle 2 outbreaks, so I guess it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They're both terrible.
Goes and this thing goes too.
Yeah.
Are there any roles that would help here?
That's what I'm wondering.
God damn it! I'll have to read these stupid things.
So the okay, so I can build a operations specialist, build a research station for 1 action, spend an action and discard any city card to move to any city. So discard Los Angeles.
What about containment specialist? When you enter a city with 2 or more cubes of the same color, remove 1 of the cubes.
Because then you could.
Because then you could fly to LA, then fly to Bogota, and 1 of those cubes would be moved, and then you can move.
No, but that's the end of my move. Because flying to LA, picking up LA, and flying again is 3 actions.
You don't need to pick up LA though.
So fly to LA. Right, become containment specialist, fly to LA, and then move. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can move all the way down the coast to Santiago, taking 1 off almost everywhere I am.
Yeah, it's just this one that you wouldn't be able to, right?
Right
there. That's 1, 2.
Oh, but I could. No. Right. I can go Mexico City, Bogota, Lima, and then there will be no double outbreaks unless we draw 2 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. So become the containment specialist, fly to Los Angeles. That's 1. And then take off 1 blue, I guess.
Oh yeah, just because you're a containment specialist.
Just because I'm a containment specialist. And then go to Mexico City, do nothing, go to Bogota, remove 1 yellow, and then go to Lima and remove 1 yellow. Good call on the containment specialist. I think that'll be as good as it gets. Huh?
Let's see whether or not it was enough.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. San Francisco. Yay, Washington.
Wait,
Right.
San Francisco is a problem, though, isn't it? Oh wait, no, those are.
Oh no, these are not the ones we really care about.
I was like, oh god, San Francisco. Oh, shit.
I was saying yay because it was an epidemic.
Right.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Good call. True that.
Okay, Santiago blows up.
Okay.
Goes here. We're fine.
But we don't get more yellows, right? No more yellows. No whammies.
Right. Toronto.
Oh, geez.
Purple.
Okay, good. I was off by one. I thought it was one left of that.
Milan gets a blue and a purple.
Okay.
It doesn't blow up. All right, we won. Barely.
And that is it. With that,
We were doing so well, and still we won barely.
and pure.
Yeah, and look, there's one purple left in the tray.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is the game.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish it up. You got to take the last move.
Yeah.
For those out there that don't know how this ends.
Yep. So I will move to what is it?
Hong
Shanghai,
Kong?
Hong Kong. And I will cure blue.
Right.
That is a game.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this idea that there are 4 different viruses going around, but now with the new potential strain in London and the danger of new strains everywhere else, this is not such a far-flung idea that we might get multiple strains we have to be fighting at the same time.
Right.
That
All could be
true.
a novel coronavirus.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a luck of the draw situation so far with COVID-19 in that the vaccines that are developed for, whatever the dominant strain are effective for everything that's popped up so far.
That we know of. Right.
That we know of. And I mean, I don't know if that's luck or if I had enough biology, I might be able to say, well, no, that's not lucky at all. That's just because it is a coronavirus. That's kind of.
I think there's a bit of both, right? I mean, I'm not I'm not an epidemiologist or
Yeah.
I'm the wrong kind of doctor, but yeah, that's right. We're all the wrong kind of doctor.
Exactly.
I mean,
we're still doctors, but
this weird phase where we need to get the vaccine out quickly, and so we're in this window, and within that window, there's still the possibility that it might get either more contagious or more deadly, right? And so,
and in fact, getting the vaccine will increase that likelihood because of the mutations being honed by the vaccine. But what else do you do, right? That's those are the options we got. But we are going to be creating a more hostile environment where mutations are more likely to thrive that survive the vaccine. While previously, I was just reading a thing on this. So previously, the vaccine, the coronavirus has been in such an open environment that it's been able to mutate wildly, but it's been mutating in no particular direction, right? Because it doesn't have any real. The only restriction is whether that particular mutation can even spread at all, which most can't. So it just mutates and then dies off. But if it can spread, then it may be better, it may be worse at spreading, right? It doesn't matter, it still survives. Now it's going to be in a place where the only ones that survive are the ones that are good at spreading under the environment of the vaccine.
I will say, just at a outside of the simulatory context of pandemic, this was a really tight game, and I feel like that's how this game should run.
Yeah,
there's so many games like this. I felt like we were running away with it at first, and then every once in a while, I've actually run away with a game where we actually just do well. Is that the next one?
No, it was the very bottom card.
Very bottom.
Yeah. But it's a system that's designed to gain on you, right?
Right.
If you're not already behind, it's designed to gain on you.
It's a really nice system in that if you get bad luck at first, you're probably going to get a little bit of decent luck for a little while after that. It kind of moderates. It self-regulates.
Yeah, it's like Mario Kart. It has a catch-up mechanic.
Which works a lot better I mean, it works fine in a family game. Or actually, Mario Kart's a brilliant design for that because it's aiming at a family audience.
Right.
But for a collaborative game, that catch-up mechanic, I think, is particularly good. Yeah. Right. And the fact that it does the reverse too, where it's got, if you're doing really well, you're likely to draw a couple epidemics in a row. You're likely to get much worse off.
Right.
I've heard the blue shell recently saw a meme about the blue shell as a proposed solution for capitalism.
What is that?
The Mario Kart blue shell as a proposed solution for capitalism.
How does that work?
Well, from a standpoint of the distribution of capital, if you're too far out to the front of the pack.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's it's not entirely how
The riches.
I mean, redistribution of wealth is a normal aspect of most actual capitalism, right? Kind of this laissez-faire free market capitalism is really anarchy. You have, I mean, and not a not a nice political form of anarchy, just kind of a nasty British form of anarchy where people with power get to dominate it over other people. Almost every form of actual capitalism that's been functional at all has got some kind of levers in there to redistribute wealth, which is funny because that's like the worst word in the English language, it seems, right now.
Yeah. No, American vernacular anyway.
Yeah. At least until recently.
Well,
I mean, looking at oh, sorry, Mark. Yeah.
We have a facade of, bootstraps.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers on this, but I was reading something recently that says that Europe has a much better social mobility, economic mobility than the United States does. That more people move up in social classes in Europe than in the United States. We are.
A facade of bootstraps is also one of the discarded titles that George R. Martin was working with.
The sixth book would have been Facade of Bootstraps.
The eighth book.
Yeah. So, David, at the beginning, when we were first starting playing, you were talking about how you have to make choices on who to save, right?
Yeah.
And you could play it the systems way, which is you're just following the rules and you're just trying to maximize your efficiency and everything. But that sort of lets go of this idea of the theme, which is like these are real people and you're dealing with lives and everything, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible, now that we played successfully, to actually succeed in the game, you actually have to attend to all the regions? So maybe the statement is a lesson about equality and not favoritism.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point to that if the way to maximize the game is essentially to follow the science, right? You identify what's going to have the greatest positive impact and take that action. And yes, that might mean that some people will die because they're in the wrong part of the world, but that's because that part of the world was actually in less danger of becoming a much larger problem than another part of the world, right, according to the rules of the game, right? So the rules of the game, as we understand it, so the rules of our game for COVID-19 is, as far as the scientists are concerned, this kind of minimize total loss of life, minimize, and understand that by blowing things up, you're going to clog your hospitals, and that's going to actually cause all sorts of other problems where other things that would not have been life-threatening suddenly become life-threatening. If you just overwhelm your social security system, your social network system, you'll have all sorts of problems, right? So all these things are compounding. So it's part of it is who dies from the pandemic, but also what happens as society collapses around it.
Yeah.
So that's, it's targeting to try and stop that from happening. That's the game that the scientists are playing. The game that some of our politicians are playing is that, right? They're following the science. But others of our politicians are playing a different game where they're trying to maximize other outcomes.
Right.
And so I think pandemic is showing us a virtual version of the science game, right? Where you try and stop things from getting out of hand. I think it would be interesting to look at the interesting and horrible, maybe, to look at the political game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is, we ignore city-states. We assume that everyone pulls together and acts as one world. And largely we have, but in some significant ways we haven't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if we look at the vaccine rollout, like it's being done on a national level, right? It's not like the US is paying for needed vaccines in Africa. And we're reserving a limited supply. We're reserving spots from a limited supply, right? And maybe if we were to think about actual most effective distribution, it wouldn't be how it's playing out in terms of wealthy nations being able to buy vaccines, right?
Right. And nations trying to steal a vaccine from each other. That wouldn't even be necessary. There'd be no point to that. Right. But we instead have this incredible, intelligence operation going on to try and steal the vaccine from each other. It's a very strange, given the scale of the problem. This game is definitely not the way the world is playing out in that sense, right?
Well, and you could theorize certainly a hypothetical situation in terms of our country that would tweak things a little bit more towards the direction of how this game plays out, or maybe even significantly more towards the direction of how this game plays out in comparison with where we're at, which is kind of we're the worst possible actor we could be for the amount of power that we have for international efforts, right?
Right.
Including our scientific capabilities.
Although I think that's probably, I hope that's worse than it actually is, right? I hope that there really is a degree to which we are going to end up distributing vaccines to poorer countries for free or for very cheap, as we've been doing with AIDS. I believe we've been doing with AIDS vaccines, AIDS treatments.
Yeah.
Because it's in our international economic and military, our international political interest to maintain security throughout the globe, right? As it turns out, humanitarian and political interests often do correspond.
Definitely. Well, and if we had had a resident in the White House who was smart about this, Iran would not have suffered as badly at the front end of COVID as it did, right? We took direct steps over the previous 4 years to make things much, much worse for Tehran. Right. When this virus hit, that's kind of unavoidable part of how this has played out, so to speak, in reality.
Yeah. I mean, our politics at the moment, from an armchair point of view, our politics toward Iran seems to be always, under this administration, short-term thinking.
Yeah.
Right. If we thought in terms of 50 years, we don't have to overthrow the Iranian state. We have to let the Iranian state modulate and find peace with itself, which it's trying to do, but it has a lot of challenges. But we're not going to be able to do it, right? They know very well what happens when America and the UK get involved in trying to fix Iranian problems. Yeah. Mossadegh was a really grim lesson for them in the, to the fact that they cannot trust Western actors to be acting in their best interest, really. So whether it's true or not, in all cases, they certainly learned the lesson. So.
Well, in this case, it's very deliberately not, right? It's very clearly an American-Israeli kind of political thrust that's driving the whole thing. To at least give some strategic credit to it, instead of assuming that it is not even thought out that at that level of depth, right? Yeah. So
the fact that I guess we're talking for posterity, and maybe people in 10 years won't remember or realize just how terrible this time was. But the idea that you would blame East Asia for, as if it was an East Asian pandemic, right? And that you would, you could certainly blame countries for not handling it particularly well. But, there's a whole statement about not blaming others when you have a gigantic blame that you carry yourself. We all carry enough blame that in an environment of a pandemic, blame shifting is entirely human and entirely pointless.
Right.
And we've been engaging in a lot of blame shifting in this country. Trump has been engaging in a lot of blame shifting.
And so, coming back to the game, it is, again, like it's a model of optimal behavior, right? It's right. That doesn't even play into it. There are no mechanics to try and emulate any of that, perhaps with the knowledge that doing so would make the game even more unwinnable.
Right. Or maybe just less fun.
Definitely.
Because there's so much. Right. I mean, there's so much to be said for, Mark, what you were talking about with the idea that because we know the cities that are coming up, we can strategize. And that strategy can be blown open at any time. But at least in a well-played game, you have enough knowledge to be able to form a strategy that matters, even if it's not perfect, or even if it falters. It's at least better than not having one. So you haven't wasted your time. I mean, it is absolutely true that people who are good at this game win more often than people who are not good at this game. Much more often, right? The strategy matters, demonstrably matters. This idea that you, by creating nation states, the game of nation states, where individual countries had maybe somewhat erratic policies that you had to then deal with, would make this game far more realistic. But I think also much harder to strategize around, or at least much more frustrating to do so. But I mean, I love
also,
those.
it would also inherently define a duration of play that would be more, you know, extensive. Let's just say.
Yeah.
I think I can think of a couple of games that have that sort of duration, and they tend to be war games.
Right. But our emergency forces or emergency services are often engaging. I mean, the CDC pandemic game that was conducted 2 years ago was attempting to game out what kinds of responses we could effectively give, and it was ignored. And the response to that was apparently, we're vastly underprepared. We need to do these 12 things, or these however many things, in order to prepare for the unlikely eventuality that some novel coronavirus will go and wipe us all out. It is the responsibility of somebody to set up a game that includes those parameters. And this is a step in that direction, but the real game has to deal with a whole lot more levels of, like, the elegance of this game that I love about it doesn't allow for that kind of complexity.
Yeah.
I'm all for that kind of complexity. Moses has played role-playing games, and in those, I love the idea of making, of either being in the position of a decider or a position of a kind of game master, creating complex decision trees, they're not even decision trees. You create a problem and you let players figure out how they want to solve them, and then you respond to those solutions, right? Which is how a lot of these kind of sophisticated emergency response games run. You have a GM, a game master back there somewhere, trying to make reasonable decisions about how to reflect what the players are doing. Within the structure of the game. But my goal in that is to make interesting story, not to reflect. It's not to simulate a reality.
And it anchors around a party in terms of the players, who are probably altruistic, but are certainly primarily a team, whatever tensions they might have between characters with individual goals. The entire party, almost by definition, whatever tensions they have, are against party cohesion that is inherent to what makes the narrative go. Right.
I mean, if you're too cohesive, then you're just playing a board game again. Which isn't bad. It's just different, right? You're not playing out the idiosyncrasies of these characters as they are in these situations, the things that make novels. And it's just so, I mean, I keep coming back to the idea that if we tried to write 2020 as a novel, it would completely fail. It is so incredibly implausible, everything that's happened. And the characters involved are so outrageous that you wouldn't think that would be really what happens.
What about an episodic TV show with different writers for each episode?
I mean, yeah, but they tend to be episodic TV shows that I don't like much. I mean, the ones that, like, almost every TV show has different writers for each episode, because that's just kind of how the way it goes. But with a really strong showrunner, you've got somebody who's got their hands on the till. I mean, the that's not the right word. Hands on the steering the ship. And if you have that, then you keep plausibility. But yeah, this has been an episodic TV show where continuity doesn't seem to matter to a bunch of the people that are writing, like our president. A lot of things just don't seem to be making, people. A lot of people don't care about sense, and yet you have these people in the background going, "Hey, but in episode 5 you did this, and that doesn't. But in episode 10 you had this isn't coherent. What are you doing? You just lied. You just said exactly the opposite thing you said in episode 8." Right.
Well,
it's a good example of what this looks like. It's an episodic TV show.
To throw the other angle at it, if you were looking at 2020 as a game, it's completely incoherent.
Right.
It's completely incoherent. The presumed rules, and to some sense, you can blame the rule makers when it comes to how this is played out vis-a-vis American politics, right? There are holes in the rules that were assumed about, everyone's going to engage in good faith play. Everyone wants to have the political equivalent of a well-played game, which is absolutely not what's going on at all.
Right.
And while, obviously playfulness is not part of that conversation, certainly I think you can do political analysis from a gamefulness perspective.
Yeah. I mean, if you understand play in the broad sense of, interplay and stuff like that, then, it's definitely playful. It's just not fun.
Not playful in the DeCoven
Right.
sense. That's how I tend to engage.
No, right.
It's where I do my gatekeeping, right?
Sure.
Is that to me, a good game is, the voluntary play piece that Mark and I have kind of chatted about previously.
Right. Right. And even kind of DeCoven's idea of good cheating, right? You've got the positive sense of keeping the game going by tweaking the rules to benefit the players, not even necessarily to win.
Right.
Right.
Or it's okay if. Oh, sorry, Mark.
It's about inclusion, not winning, right?
Right.
But the problem is a lot of people out in the real world, and people who just play games, like if we're just talking about video game or whatever, you've got people who are enjoying the experience, and you've got people who view games as a win or lose situation. And so if you're not quote unquote winning, then you're losing, and so you better not be losing.
Yeah. Well, and ostensibly on the political reality of it, there is this notion that winning is important for you running for office for your political party in terms of control, but that ultimately that's in the service of the country, right? And so that was
supposed to be a part of the rules.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be in there somewhere.
It is.
I'm wondering if it is
actually in there, just not in a formalized enough way, apparently, for everybody, Mitch McConnell, to abide by it. And I like to point the finger at McConnell in particular for obvious reasons, but it's widespread than that, as far as kind of the malfeasance piece of it. Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Breaking up the flow here.
No, it's okay. I personally, I think I've got to wrap up, and I think that we are kind of at a conclusionary point for this. But I would love to do this again. I think that this may be a better fit for Drew's COVID-19 issue.
I mean, we just spent a bunch of time talking about pandemic and worldwide response to it.
Right.
Yeah.